Okay, this is gonna be my first impression of using BUILD2 CLEAR out of the pot. I'm gonna use my Luxa brush number 6. It's probably my favorite hard gel brush. So this is a hard gel type product for extensions. I'm gonna do it as an overlay. So first things first, I have a rolling brush here. Let me take my Luxa Prime, okay? And yes, I know some people use different primers with different brands. Totally something you just have to experiment with and see if it works well for you. When I'm trying a new product, I like to encourage using what they recommend. And anything you're gonna try and experiment with, you should always try and experiment on yourself, not on like a client, and see how things work for you. So I'm gonna let it settle in a little bit to get nice and tacky. And then the recommendation with their hard gel is to go ahead and do a really thin layer with their base. You can go straight to build, but through trial and error, they have found that most of the time, everything goes fine that way. But if you have a few people that lift or you lift yourself, this layer with base prevents lifting. So I'm gonna go ahead and cure that. Really quickly, I'm just gonna show you. There's usually instructions on the back of your products. It's always important to look for. So this is gonna be cure 30 seconds LED, 60 seconds UV, 30-60 LED, sorry, and UV is 2 minutes. So that's really good to know. I'm also gonna reach over here and pull out of my, I kind of stashed some stuff. Sorry if that's loud. I want like almost like a little bit of a liner brush. So this is number 2 as I work with this to be able to help perfect it. So I've got number 2 and number 6 here for me. And I'm just gonna make sure that they are not in like the glow of the lamp at all, so that they don't cure, because they do have gel on them. Now I'm gonna use clear for this first one. This is BUILD2, so BUILD2 is gonna have a little bit more thickness to it, okay? It's not as runny as Build by itself. So yes, I already prepped this brush, but I'm gonna make sure there's a little bit of gel in the brush. Just do it in the lid. That always helps things apply well. Ooh, that lid wants to pop out. There we go. Okay. Now I've flattened my nails out. They look kind of ratchet because I flattened the product off on them. So they're really flat. They don't have any shape. And this one specifically, if you look really close, has a stress fracture right here, a stress crack. It kind of even healed a little bit with that base layer. So I'm gonna be very careful, and you can see some product color shifts here that I've done. That's just how it is. But you kind of have to get used to that release with your hard gel. So I don't want a ton of product on my brush. See how little that is? And you can always wipe off excess, but you're gonna touch it. And then if you go like this, back and forth, as a quick zigzag, that's a really quick way to release it. If you're scooping a ton and then you're like wiggling a ton, sometimes it makes a mess versus like a quick cut off. Hopefully that's helpful for you. So I'm just gonna touch it, quick little cut off, and I'm gonna give myself a tight base layer here. Notice how thin I'm doing this. And I will recommend, if you're using one of the colors, to go in with that liner brush and take this color nice and thin and tight to the edges. So that would look like this. I'll take a little bit of gel on there and like walk it in nice and tight. You're not gonna notice it as much with the clear, but especially if you're doing high-end cuticle work and you want your product nice and tight, this first thin layer in tight for me makes a big difference. I had a couple bubbles I was chasing off. Okay, so this is a 60-second LED or a 2-minute UV cure, okay? So I'm going to cure this base layer. Now this would go faster if I wasn't doing just one at a time, but I sure as heck am, just to practice things, and I'm gonna practice all the different colors for you. So I wanna make sure I've got my brushes nearby. Give this time to kind of cure, and while you're working, well, once curing, you're working on the other hand, which helps a ton. So this process actually will go a ton faster. And I am actually putting it in the Luxa lamp at full power, and I'm surprised I'm not really feeling any heat. You will the more product you put on there, and these layers help that heat transfer be minimized. So train your clients. If it feels warm at all, slide your hand out, or just do 5 seconds in, couple seconds out, 5 seconds in, couple seconds out, and then all the way in. Okay, so it's already giving us a little bit of base there. I'm gonna again grab just a thin amount, and I'm going to do the same thing here before I go in to build with this product. I feel like it helps me glide the product. It's just something I like to do. I'm noticing it's building up a touch there. There we go. So I have good control. So I haven't cured this layer. What I'm gonna do is gosh, I go into more depth in some of my classes, but I'm gonna grab, I mean, that almost might be too much. Yeah, you just kind of scoop when you're working with hard gel, and then you can do that break off right there. So see how it's like almost half the size of the space I want to cover, and I'm gonna kind of let it come down to the end. It has a slower flow again because this is Build 2, but you want it to be bulbous and only on one side of your brush. That will help your application. And I'm gonna tip my finger down, and I'm just gonna place it on and let it kind of melt to those edges. Oh, hey guys, this is pretty easy to work with. I'm just kind of walking it down the nail, and I'm gonna swing here at the tip. Ooh, I like it. Looks pretty good. So first thing I'm gonna do is flip over to help pull everything to the center. See how I'm pulling it from the tip back as well. Let this self-level, look from the side. Any things you need to adjust, go ahead and adjust, but this actually looks pretty good. I'm using gravity to my benefit here. Yeah, all right, I'm gonna cure it. Now let's check with that heat transfer since I have the lab at full power. I'm gonna say, I don't even want it to get hot, so I'm gonna do 6 seconds in, a few seconds out, because there's a little carryover of heat when you are curing in a high power lamp and you're using a more structured product like a hard gel. And if they want to repeat that process where they slide it out again to slow it down, you can, but you're just slowing down the curing time for comfort. I'm gonna go ahead and cover this and let this finish curing, but I'll get back in there. I want to kind of show you, because it's frozen in place, how self-leveled that works. I don't think I'm even going to do any top filing. You could refine. I would thin out maybe a little here on the sides, but honestly, okay, I like the Build2 Clear. Let's try others.